Speaker. Speaker, I'm delighted to share my time with my colleague member for Brampton East and Scarborough Ridge Park, speak to our government's proposed Less Red Tape, Stronger Ontario Act 2022. It's a bill that is necessary and timely. This bill, if passed, would be yet another step forward in making Ontario work smarter for business and people. The proposed legislation builds on the government's strong track record of reducing red tape. Since 2018, we have reduced regulatory requirements by 6.5%, saving individuals and businesses $576 million in annual compliance costs. We've come a long way, but there's no room for compliances. We know that there is more work to be done. The global supply chain crisis brought on by COVID-19 shift in demand and labour shortages are impacting Ontarians and our economy. Reducing red tape on individuals and businesses is a key element of post-pandemic recovery and economic growth. To this end, our government is committed to making Ontario better for people and businesses by removing unnecessary, redundant, and outdated regulations that hold us back. The Less Red Tape, Stronger Ontario Act 2022 outlines 28 new measures to achieve these objectives. They include proposed legislative and regulatory changes, as well as policy announcement. Speaker, I would like to highlight some of the key initiatives in the proposed Reduce Red Tape package in two aspects: supporting Ontario's supply chains and cutting red tape for Ontarians. Modernization measures for the agriculture and food industry are a central piece of proposed legislation. Last week, we released the Grow Ontario strategy, the province's plan to build consumer confidence and support farmers and Ontario's food supply. The strategy will promote Ontario-grown food, attract an innovative talent pool, and stabilize the food supply chain. Increasing commercialization and adoption of innovative new technologies and practices also play a key role in the strategy. Besides, the proposed legislation includes amendments to the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Affairs Act. Our intent is to help members of feeder cattle cooperatives expand their businesses and create more jobs. This will support the sector's capacity of deliver safe, healthy food products to all Ontarians. The proposed legislation, if passed, would also modernize the Agricultural Research Institute of Ontario, ARIO, the Act to reflect current and future agri-food research and innovation needs. The proposed amendments to the Act will allow for more research that accurately reflects the evolving nature of agri-food research today and in the future. Speaker, we all know that transportation is an important pillar that supports Ontario's supply chains. There are several proposals in this package that would make the transportation sectors more competitive. Firstly, we are upgrading Ontario's highway corridor management system to provide a seamless and integrated online platform for approvals and permits along provincial highways. Work is ongoing to allow applicants to submit, track, and receive all Ministry of Transportation approvals online, saving time and money. Each year, during the spring-fall, Speaker, roads become weaker and susceptible to permanent damage caused by vehicles. To help protect road infrastructure during this time of the year, local authorities have the power to temporarily reduce vehicle axle weight limits. We are giving municipalities a new option to optimize the timing of these reduced road periods, which will help improve competitiveness while protecting Ontario's road infrastructure. Speaker, our province has one of the largest and most complex energy sector in North America. We are proposing to simplify our gasoline volatility regulation to reduce regulatory and administrative burden on the petroleum industry by aligning with national standards. This will increase competitiveness of our energy sector. We are also proposing to amend the Oil, Gas and Salt Resources Act to reduce barriers to carbon storage technology. These amendments, if passed, will reduce red tape as a first step in creating a framework to regulate and enable permanent storage of carbon as a new tool to help reduce Ontario's greenhouse gas emissions. Speaker, one of the most common concerns I hear from my constituents is the red tape and regulatory barriers they face in their daily lives and business. Our government has heard their concerns. One of our government's top priorities since 2018 has been to remove unnecessary, redundant and outdated regulations that are holding businesses back. We know that there are more things our government can do to cut red tape and make it easier for people to interact with the government. To improve government transfer payment, we are establishing an efficient, transparent and coordinated approach through a standard online digital platform. This will reduce paperwork and administrative burden for government-funded organizations. Also, we will work with Indigenous businesses and communities to address barriers to accessing government businesses support programs and procurement opportunities. To enhance our province's occupational health and safety system, we are proposing amendments to the Workplace Safety and Insurance Act that would improve the operational efficiency of Workplace Safety and Insurance Board. The amendment, if passed, would ensure injured or ill apprentices receive loss of earnings benefits at the same amount a journeyed person would receive. Ensure government documents are consistent with, not duplicate of, other government directives, and streamline requirements for office lease transactions. The proposed legislation also contains review of the Ministry of Transportation's Cooperative Performance Rating System in the evaluation of bids for engineering services, focusing more on the price and technical proposal when evaluating bids for engineering services will make it simpler to administer and fairer for all participants. For the court system, we increase the court capacity and efficiency to help address the COVID-19 backlog in criminal cases. We are doing this by temporarily increasing the limit of the number of days retired judges can work and allow court clerks to reopen certain proceedings. We are also proposing to make injury questionnaires available online and test and feasibility of moving away from providing paper version. This will reduce administrative costs and make it easier for prospective jurors to participate in the court system. Speaker, I wish I could speak more on this important bill for Ontario, but I'm mindful of time. So in short, this bill, if passed, will streamline processes and modernize outdated practices across multiple areas of government and multiple sectors of Ontario economy. This will lead Ontario to more economic certainty, confidence, and stability, and it will help to ensure our province continue to be competitive in the global market. And may I invite all the members of the House to vote in favour of the bill and join me in looking forward to a stronger Ontario. Thank you.
Thank you. Recognize the member for Scarborough Rouge Park.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good morning, Madam Speaker. Good morning, members. I'm pleased to have this opportunity to rise in the House today to discuss Bill 46, the Less Red Tape, Stronger Ontario Act. From the moment our government took office, one of our top priorities has been removing unnecessary, redundant, outdated regulations that keep people and businesses from reaching their full potential. And we have come so far over the past 4.5 years, and I know the 28 cross-government initiatives within this proposed legislation build on the progress we have made by increasing Ontario's competitiveness, building more robust supply chain, and making it easier to interact with government by cutting red tape. Simply put, we are taking swift action to build a stronger Ontario where people thrive and business prosper and now into the future. We are focused on leading Ontario to greater economic certainty, confidence, and stability. And during our uncertain times, these items cannot be taken for granted. Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Transportation is committed to reducing the burden on Ontarians, modernizing its programs and supporting businesses in the transportation sector. And we know that in today's world and economy, a well-functioning transportation network is key to helping get products to market and get people where they need to go. A transportation network depends on having the right investments, the right maintenance and support, but beyond that, it also needs the right regulatory environment in place to help respond to the needs of the public and businesses. So I want to spend some time talking more specifically about some of the specific items that the Ministry is bringing forward this year. First, we are making improvements to Ontario's highway corridor management system to provide a seamless and integrated online platform for approvals and permits along provincial highways. The Ministry of Transportation is also responsible for reviewing, assessing and land development process, permit applications for signs, for building and land use, and for entrances and encroachments and utility management adjacent to provincial highways. In total, MTO processes between 5,000 to 7,000 permits for work along provincial highways annually. In June 2017, we launched the Highway Corridor Management System to support Ontario businesses, stakeholders, and members of the public in securing permits to conduct work along provincial highways and save time and money. Madam Speaker, in fact, over the past 5 years, the Highway Corridor Management System has reduced wait times. And the time to complete the application process is reduced by an estimated of 500,000 hours, saving over $12 million for businesses and members of the public. Madam Speaker, working is ongoing on a new land development review module that will enable developers and municipalities to submit, track, and receive Ministry of Transportation approvals for their land development application and all online applications. The targeted release for the land development review is in the summer of 2023, which will provide immediate value to users. Following this release, subsequent phases are planned and will include enhancements based on our user base. When released, the module will be available for anyone to use, including municipalities, developers, and the public. The ongoing And the planned enhancements of highway corridor management system will provide a simple, easy, efficient, and more convenient way for businesses, stakeholders, and members of the public to submit, track, and receive MTO permits and MTO development approvals in a manner that is more transparent and more accountable. The highway corridor management system improvements will better support economic development proposals of Ontario's businesses and municipalities, as well as provincial priorities such as open for business, buying new housing supply to the market, and providing government services faster, better, and easier. We are taking action to improve the ability of municipalities to protect road infrastructure while ensuring that vital goods can continue to move on our roads. Each spring, roads become weaker and susceptible to permanent damage caused by heavy loads. To help protect road infrastructure during this time of year, the Highway Traffic Act provides local authorities the ability to reduce vehicle axle weight limits for a period of time known as the reduced load period or the spring thaw period. Madam Speaker, reduced load periods are typically in effect annually from March through the end of May or June and are only applied to designated secondary and territory roads, including limited number of secondary highways in Northern Ontario. The province enacts reduced load period on some roads, but for the most parts, the reduced load period is enacted locally by municipalities via bylaws. The Ministry of Transportation, in partnership with Ontario Good Roads Association, is creating frost depth prediction models that will provide municipalities with option to optimize the timing of reduced load per periods, including shortening the period when condition permits. The model uses data from MTO road weather information system, including 20 seats with frost, depth, and moisture sensors across the province, and breaks down geographic zones established across Ontario with local adjustments for microclimates. The model will provide 7-day advance notice on the onset of reduced load periods using real-time and forecast temperature input for the geographical zones. This will allow municipalities to shorten the duration of reduced load periods, which will help support the supply chain and cut red tape for the agriculture, agribusiness, and trucking industry while protecting road infrastructure. Madam Speaker, the Ministry is also reviewing the use of corporate performance rating system in evaluating bids for engineering service to improve the fairness and efficiency of the procurement process. The corporate performance rating is a measure of past performance on ministry assignments. Engineering services providers are currently selected based on weighted evaluations of a firm's corporate performing rating, the price of their bid, and the technical quality of their written proposals. And the recent reviews of corporate performance rating system has found that the criteria for evaluating service providers' past performance have become somewhat subjective, resulting in little distinction in the rating between high-performing and low-performing firms. So focusing more on pricing and technical proposal when evaluating bids for engineering services would make the procurement process simpler to administer and fairer for all participants and help ensure the best value for taxpayer dollars. Madam Speaker, as you can see, the Ministry of Transportation of the government takes seriously our role to remove unnecessary, redundant, outdated regulation that are holding businesses back. And reducing red tape on individuals and businesses is key to post-pandemic recovery and our economic growth. Under the leadership of Premier Ford, and our government has taken more than 400 actions to reduce burdens since 2018 without compromising service levels, health, safety, and environment. Our efforts to eliminate unnecessary red tape and burdens and open doors to economic activity will ensure that province is one of the best places in North America to raise a family, work, and operate a business. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. And now we'll go to question, and I recognize the member for Toronto Centre.
Thank you very much, Speaker, and thank you to the member across for his submission, to both members for their submission. I guess my question would be specifically to Juries Act. That's that particular portion in the bill. In particular, the Ontario trial lawyers who I met with last year was calling for an end to the use of civil juries. Civil juries have oftentimes led to exorbitant amounts of time in the delays in the court system. And in Canada, there's no constitutional right to a jury trial in most civil matters. And Ontario is one of the last Canadian jurisdictions to grant parties the right to choose jury trials for most civil matters. So my question to you would be, if most of Canada is actually moving away from civil jury options, why, through this modernization of the Juries Act, are you leaving this behind when it clearly is a simple way of cutting red tape?
Thank you.
Thank you.
To respond, member.
Sure, thank you, member, for asking the question. Our government is on a mission to drive efficiencies and reduce red tapes. So moving government to a digital-first, modern, and modernizing outdated process are some of the many ways that we are cutting red tape to lower administrative costs. So why does the member not understanding that? And we also need to reduce the administration burdens and lower costs to the taxpayers. That's good for Ontarians. So cut red tape across governments has many benefits. It makes interactions with the government easier. It reduces our dependency on postage, and it improves our environment by reducing our dependency on paper. And also, it's not just about eliminating regulatory burdens. It involves modernizing processes like moving programs and services online. So this action being taken by our government will make it easier for prospective jurors to
Thank you. We're going to go to next question. Thank you. I recognize the member for Sarnia-Lambton for the next question.
And my question in regards to AMAFRA, some of the changes at AMAFRA, what is the government proposing, the ministry proposing to change under those rules about animal health preparedness?
To answer, the member for Scarborough Rouge Park.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. As I mentioned in my remarks, this bill takes a whole of government approach in reducing red tape, and this particular bill it contains 28 actions, including items that is part of multi-ministerial items from number of 11 different ministries, and that's why our strong record of reducing red tape is there to protect, starting from health towards safety and all the way to environment. And this bill will definitely have a comprehensive approach that we have started in 2018 to make sure that we are making the Ontario's economy more competitive and enabling businesses, enabling public transit users to make sure how.
Next question, the member for St. Catharines.
Speaker, this omnibus bill makes changes to the Provincial Offences Act, the Jury Act, Courts of Justice Act, but none of these items address femicide rates across Ontario, rates that are rising. It is fine to do housekeeping legislation like this. However, it also has to come alongside real and meaningful measures to prevent violence against women. My question to the member across the aisle: I am wearing this purple scarf today, like so many in this chamber, to raise gender-based violence awareness. So, why are we talking about house-cleaning bills today when we should be passing legislation that makes life safer for women and girls across the province of Ontario?
Good question.
Thank you. The member for Scarborough Rouge Park to reply.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. our government on this side and our members in the middle right there, we take action to protect all Ontarians, to protect and especially stand against gender-based violence and protect Ontarians, protect the public transit users, protect Ontario businesses, because we believe in taking action, not just words, Madam Speaker. That's why this bill contains 28 action items, not 28 words, Madam Speaker, 28 action items to enable the potential of Ontario's businesses. This is the perfect way to recover the economy after the pandemic. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The next question, the member for Thornhill.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. As an individual who's dealt and worked within the court system for a number of years, I was very happy to see a modernizing of the juror system with respect to the composition. I continuously get calls from constituents asking about this specific issue. So the ministry recently identified 2 issues that have affected the composition of jury roles in Ontario. How are you working to prevent these errors from happening in the future? Is this the right time to implement further changes to the jury system? Thank you.
Thank you. The member for Markham Unionville.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Our government is committed to continuous improvement of the jury system and ensuring Ontario has the most robust jury selection process in Canada. The Attorney General has directed the Ministry of Attorney General to take all necessary action to address these errors and ensure that the jury role is accurate, secure, and in compliance with Ontario's legal obligations. The previous issues that affect the composition of recent jury roles in Ontario has been identified, and MAG has implemented a more strengthened monitoring and auditing system around the process. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Next question. Member for Ottawa Centre.
Thank you, Speaker. As I was listening to the comments from my friends in government this morning, I'm mindful that we are living in a climate emergency. We just had an international conference talking about the need for everyone to take up their responsibility. And I'm looking at Schedule 5 of this legislation that's talking about the capture of CO2 as a solution. I'm wondering if either one of the members who spoke could comment about what either of these initiatives are doing to meet our climate emergency targets, because what I've seen so far is a government ripping up the Greenbelt, suing the federal government unsuccessfully around carbon mitigation measures. I've seen them tear EV charging stations literally out of GO station transit and now promote them later. I see a government caught in contradictions on climate change. So I'm wondering if either member could explain to me what Schedule 5 does to get Ontario back on track to take the climate emergency we're living in seriously.
To respond, the member for Scarborough-Rouge Park.
Madam Speaker, our government is taking strong action to reduce unnecessary red tape. But, Madam Speaker, in 2017, under the previous Liberal government supported by NDP government, Ontario had the highest cost of complaints in Canada, totaling $33,000 per businesses. That is $4,000 more than any other provinces across Canada. And they are always in favor for more cost, they are in favor of more delays and more red tape. And while our government, we are trying to bring more accessibility, more convenience, and less redundant, so that we can enable our businesses to have a work environment, to have a thriving environment, especially during these tough times. And that's why, Madam Speaker, I urge members across the aisle to support this bill to help Ontarians and to help Ontario businesses. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
We have time for one quick question. The member for Scarborough Agincourt.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My question is to either of my colleagues. What is the government doing now to support Indigenous people and businesses?
To reply, member for Markham Unionville.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, our member from Scarborough Agincourt for the question. So today, Ontario government introduced the Less Red Tape and Stronger Ontario Act, which, if passed, would implement measures to increase Ontario's competitiveness, strengthen provincial supply chain, and make government services easier to access and interact with. The highlight will be including the modernization, about increasing the capacity and efficiency to improve service, including for the indigenous communities. So Ontario's agri-food sector has always been a cornerstone for the provincial economy.
Thank you.